Shalom. This is Nazama Shal Hamadabar Yasharal on my channel Nazama the Hebrew Mystic Healer. Before I get started with the video, I would like to first show some love to my 3D kin, the 12 tribes of Israel, the Hebrew Israelites scattered to the four corners of this third dimensional earth plane of existence. Much love and shalom to you. I would also like to show some love to my cosmic kin, the Nibiru, the primordial dragons, the Anunnaki starseeds scattered to the 12 dimensions of this universal cosmic egg matrix. Much love and shalom to you. I would also like to show some gratitude and appreciation to my viewers, especially those of you who are subscribed. If you're not yet subscribed, please do so now, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any amazing content. Also, if you like this video, please show me by giving it a like. It does help. Thank you. So I want to talk about the underworld. In other videos, I have talked about the underworld briefly. I've mentioned in passing the different worlds. I've mentioned shadow work and collective shadow work and ancestral shadow work. But I haven't really gone into why this is important and an in-depth video. I haven't really talked about what the underworld is in depth, or how to get there, or why we should be doing it. So I want to talk about that a little bit in this video. So what is the underworld? As I've mentioned briefly in previous videos, the underworld is one of the three main realms or worlds, because a world is a realm. Earth is not a world. Well, I mean, it is technically, but Earth is a plane of existence. A world is also a realm, but they're a little different. So Earth would be considered the middle realm, for example. And there's different dimensions of Earth as well, but that's all part of the middle realm. You have the upper realm, which is the celestial realms, contains all the celestial realms. And then you have the lower realm, or the underworld realm, which is the realm of the ancestors and the totems to a degree, and the realm of the dead in general. So in a more micro representation, the underworld is our unconscious self. The underworld is where we house our shadow. For many of us, it's where we house our demonic divine self, which I do talk about that in another video, so definitely check that out if you haven't, the one about the daemon. And also it houses our past life memories that we have yet to recall. It houses, soul fragments. And it also houses ancestral memory, ancestral trauma, ancestral past lives as well. So for all these reasons, it's important. It's important for us to work with the underworld, or in the underworld. By the way, I want to just say the reason I'm dressed like this, not that I require an explanation, but when I'm not in my serpent or dragon form, when I'm not in my hydra form, I am commonly seen like this when I'm in the underworld journeying. So if I ever journey with you or on your behalf, you may see me in this form. So I wanted to embody that energy for the sake of this video. I felt it was appropriate. So moving on. So back to what I was saying. Basically, the underworld is important for us to journey and travel and learn how to work in, because a lot of healing needs to take place there. That's where most of the time we can do soul fragment retrieval. That's where we can connect with our ancestors for the sake of, healing trauma, for the sake of breaking generational curses, right? For the sake of helping our ancestors elevate, which helps us elevate, healing our bloodline in that level. As I already mentioned, soul fragment retrieval, which is a process of us calling back aspects of ourselves that were lost, usually through trauma, which can be in this life or other lives or past life, right? So that can take place there as well. Also, we can recall past lives that we've repressed into the shadow and heal and integrate those. And that also by default helps us, basically it helps us to recall and cosmically activate as well. So that's another reason. And with all those reasons aside, we can also connect to our totems as well. And when we connect to our totems, especially our shadow totems, which can embody all of the aspects of ourselves we repress into the shadow, this helps us face the hidden aspects of ourselves that we normally don't want to face. Like, we repress it in the shadow because it's something that we deem socially unacceptable, or something that we don't like about ourselves, we don't want to accept about ourselves. Same thing goes with past lives. So when we journey into the underworld, we can recall this and integrate it back in for the sake of healing as well. And totems help us do that because totems embody and are representative of our particular bloodlines and tribes, of our strengths and weaknesses, of our spiritual gifts, and they help us for that reason. Now, totems and guides, as I've mentioned in other videos, are different. Guides come and go. Totems are for life, and past and future lives as well. They are part of your DNA. So I want to talk about shamanism a little bit too, which is connected to this directly. And the reason I want to talk about shamanism is that shamanism was originally the name for, in Siberia, the same thing that witch doctors, medicine men and women, and brujas do. And that is, and also root workers as well. And that is, most of these people have been trained in the art of going to the crossroads, which is that in-between point and being able to access the upper world, the middle world, and the underworld. And so that's what, shamans do. And the shaman is just a word for the Siberian, culture or cultural aspect of that. But it's also become a blanket term so that people can recognize what kind of healing or what kind of work somebody does. So nowadays when we say shamanic healer, we're essentially saying, oh, I can travel between realms and I can help you do the same, and I can also travel on your behalf. But all of us can do it. And I do recommend that if you want to start journeying, which I feel that everyone should, we should all be trying to activate and heal and integrate in all aspects and all dimensions of ourselves. I recommend that you either work with a set mapped out way of doing it through like a guided meditation, for example, that is started from a reputable shamanic healer, or you ask your ancestors directly to show you how they would like you to journey and be your guide. That way you can map it out, because you don't want to get lost in any of the worlds, specifically the underworld. And what it can do is it can, prevent you from actually going to do what you accomplished, because you're kind of flapping in the wind with no map, no guide, no path, so to speak. And so it's just better to have somebody there working with you that can help you. If it's not a physical person that knows how to journey, then it should be an ancestor or a guide, or a member of your soul family that know how to do it. It can also be a living relative as well, that knows how to do it, especially if they know how to do it according to your specific ancestral tradition. So it is important. You also want to make sure that before you do any kind of shamanic journeying, that you shield after you cleanse your space, and that you make sure your space is secure and protected. And that helps prevent any kind of entity attachment that can take place when you're journeying. So that can happen. So I hope I've explained adequately why it's important for us to work in the underworld, both microly and macroly. It helps us heal ourselves, our ancestry, and, reverberates out into the whole human collective, essentially, when we do this. So if you guys have any questions, definitely hit me up about it. I have a lot on Patreon where I talk about it as well. I actually give specific techniques if you wanted to start there, for that map, for that path, for that guided process. You can definitely do that as well. I do try to customize it in a way to where people can make it work for their individual traditions and their individual ancestry. And I try to give a background on which ancestry, which traditions and things connect to what, to try to avoid cultural appropriation, but also to let people know where they connect within, in that sense, in their own DNA. So there's different ways of doing it. The cave represents the underworld. There's the world tree, the roots of that world tree. There's, traveling the canoe in the river. There's going downstairs when you're doing journeys. There's a lot of different ways to access that. So I hope that this explained, why it's so important for us to work with the underworld. And it's definitely not something that most people are comfortable with, because they're kind of frightened of it, and we really shouldn't be. And most of our unconscious, our unconscious makes up of most of who we are, truthfully. The majority of who we are exists in our unconscious through memory, through past lives, through, attributes and DNA. So it's important. I hope that I was able to bring this into the light, so to speak, to highlight the importance of dealing with the underworld and doing underworld work within ourselves for the sake of ourselves and our ancestors. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like this video and share. Come visit my healing page, facebook.com, The Hebrew Mystic Healer, all one word. The link for my healing page is in the drop-down menu of this video. Full descriptions of services are in the pinned post on my healing page. You can book any service ranging from retro-cosmic akashic record readings, akashic portraits, draconic needle starseed charts, spirit releasement, intuitive guidance, angelic healing, Asui Reiki, and more by simply clicking on the blue Book Now button. Also, don't forget to check out Patreon. Do not miss out on the techniques and guided meditations for psychic and spiritual protection, ancestral healing, advanced shadow work, activating your light Merkaba, connecting with your soul family, light language activation, recalling past lives, activating major and minor chakra points, and much more. The link for Patreon is in the drop-down menu. Thank you for your support. Stay tuned for the next video.